Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful week of the next issue. I'm your host, The Power Trip, and this week I felt like touching upon a subject of beings that interact with us day in and day out. We find them close to our heart, and we adopt them, we collect them, and in comics they provide a very noble use, and then sometimes they're just kind of more in the background. That is our pets. Our beloved animal kingdom, our furry friends that live with us sometimes, if you will, and how they are in the comics as portrayed. Now, while I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail today, I'll save that for next week, actually. What I would like to touch upon today is the fun little aspects of the Superpets, so to speak, and how in comics comic books already have to bend the laws of believability to give these beings powers to do these crazy things that you just don't see or physics dictate can't happen in the real world. But it's like when an animal in the comic book world gets superpowers, all of a sudden their intelligence skyrockets as well. You never see a typical animal everyday animals, with superpowers, so to speak. And while, no one really wants to see their pet cat just randomly get heat vision or something like that, it would be an interesting concept or idea to see what it would be like to be a superhero or villain even, and have your pet, your loving animal that you've had for years, all of a sudden create some kind of crazy superpower and not get this hyper intelligence. You see things like what I'm talking about with things like the Pet Avengers or Crypto or I can't remember his name offhand, but the big dog that runs around with the Inhumans that teleports them everywhere. Uh, you know, Streaky the cat, and in the 70s and 60s and stuff, you got to see it with some of the other super animals like Super Horse and Super Chimp, as they were lovingly named back in the day. But every time you saw these animals portrayed, now given back in times past, for the era it was in, the story was better written for these animals to have these powers and just all of a sudden know how to help that superhero out. And as time has gone on, and even into today, you see glimpses of how the writers have kind of tried to make it a little bit more believable, but at the same time, they still have to keep it within the realm of the story. Even by today's standards, Crypto will still act like a normal dog, protecting Kal-El and now John Kent, or White, I guess you would call him in New 52 standards, but you know what I mean. He's still gonna do what a good guard dog would do, but he doesn't use his powers unless he knows he's fighting another superpowered being, and it's just kind of, it's that hyper intelligent, that hyper instinct there that if it was your dog. Try and imagine that if it was your dog or your cat that all of a sudden had the ability to fly, or heat vision, or teleport, or anything like that. Do you really think that they would just instantly know to teleport you out of the way of an oncoming car, or to fly you above, a cliff to where you don't fall, or, go and capture a criminal on their own? Or do you think that cat might just teleport itself to the top of a tree to catch a bird or fly around? Or, that dog might use its heat vision just out of any random person that walks in your door. Instead of just running to the door and barking at the mailman, now you've got a poor melted mailman on your driveway. And it's, like I said, I know they have to make the animals more intelligent, or their instincts have to be above what they would be in the real world for them to be like that, for the story to make sense or go that extra mile. But to try and think of what it would be like to see one good story arc where Crypto or one of these animals acted like what a real dog in today's world would be like with these powers would just it would be a one-shot deal because you don't want to ruin something like that, but it would be a really fun story, don't you think? Just to see this animal with some random power. Just imagine that. I want you guys to, all of you out there with animals, and even if you don't have a pet, think of an animal that you like. What's your favorite kind of wild animal out there? But imagine, if you will, especially you pet owners, think about your pet. And then think of what some of your favorite superpowers are out there. And just imagine what your animal would be like, realistically, if they had that power. Or something close to it, even. And then just imagine what your life would be like if something like that were to happen. That's kind of the fun little drama there that I'm getting at, that I think would be fun to see in comics at least once or twice, just to really get a good glimpse of it. To see Superman and Darkseid fighting it out, and all of a sudden you see Crypto flying through the air trying to heat vision a squirrel randomly in between the battle. Just I don't know. I think it just, the idea of it brings a smile to my face just thinking what that would be fun to see on a page right there. But and what I would like all you guys to do, because there's obviously I'm going to follow up with a lot more detail on some of these super pets and some of the fun theories we can have with it next week. But in the comments below, I'd like to see you guys tell me what some of your fun little interactions or combinations thereof of your pets or favorite animals with powers would be, and why. Let me reach out and see what you guys think on this topic. And I'll catch all of you next week for the next issue.